this is the beat for IMONFOUR by Aerospace. I made this in Ableton 11. This keyboard part that's panned in your left ear is pretty much what repeats for the entire song. And in your right ear I have this. And so I really liked how those both sounded together. And that's pretty much all I had initially. And after that I added this keyboard part, this piano part, and I didn't play it in. This is a sample as well. Originally this piano part sounded like this. It's beautiful, but it's moving around a little too much for me to aid in what we're trying to do. And so I had this just loop over and over essentially. And then it resolves at the end of the fourth bar. And so I think it resolving at the end of the fourth bar ties in these three samples together. So together it all sounds like this. And that's it for the melody at the beginning here for sure, other than little things later on. So we have this hi-hat pattern that I just dropped in because there was already this groove happening here in this sample in your right ear, and so it was already implying that groove, so I went with that already pretty much and just found this. And originally this hi-hat sounded like that, and it's just tinny and doesn't sound right, but the pattern was cool, so I pitched it down 10 and moved on. I added some snares here. Added a track delay to the snares to pull it back to the smudge, and added reverb. My reverb looks like it's maxed out, but I have my dry and wet knob like all the way back to 33, and so it's much more refined than it may look. It looks like I just have crazy reverb going on every track. And then from there, it's this kick pattern. And as you can see, that's three different kicks that I don't know why I did that at the time. I came back to do this breakdown, and I see that I have three different kicks going on. So, you know, let's dive into this and see why I did this. This kick pattern, this groove initially was from this. My cat's going crazy over there. Sorry. This kick pattern was initially from this Count. Drum pack. The Count is really cool. He's a killer producer. And basically I liked how it sounded, but I just wanted to add more to it. So I just kind of chopped it up a little bit, but kept the same groove. I didn't really chop it up much at all, except at the end I added that, like, it's like a fill at the end of the bar. That's essentially what I added there to that groove. I let this groove be. But I added these kicks, and it's not an extra part, like it's not a different pattern is what I mean. It's tonally adding to the low end where this isn't. You can hear it's a big difference. Then layered together, it keeps building. So I see this is why I did that at that time, but it sure is a lot. I wouldn't recommend layering a ton of kicks all the time, but it's interesting to see what works, because the reason these were layered the way they are is the 808 comes in here in a second, and it's important to me that the 808 and the kicks land together and sound round and full and complete. And so these kicks always sound weird isolated, and like isolated by themselves like this, and there also was a clap in that count part that I left in also, but it sounds weird on its own, but all together it always sounds different to me. For good reason. But anyway, the next part that's coming up here before we get to the 808s is this percussion part that's panned in your right ear, and it's one of my favorite little things that happen in the song. Like, I have an EQ set. This is the same part. It's about to come in both ears, but right now this is just the right ear. I removed the low end from the sample because it was originally a full drum groove where it sounded like this. And that groove is cool, but I didn't want to use that, so I used EQ3 and removed the low end entirely, and then I boosted the mid range all the way up and backed the high end down. So now it sounds like this. Without the EQing, it sounds like this. But with the EQing, it sounds like this. And I've got reverb on it. And then joins your other ear here. So they're both together. This is the main groove. This is when the 808 comes in, when they both join together in both ears. And so we will go ahead and go to the 808s. Which are these right here. And just like the kicks sound weird on their own, these 808s sound weird on their own. I took this is just duplicated, so it's the same part. But I was in some sort of mode, as you can see when I made this a while ago, because I did it with the kicks, and then I did it down here with the 808s. And what I did is like I dropped the sample in, and essentially this 808 sample sounded like this. It's like doing a bunch of moving around and stuff that I don't need. And so I just took the one individual 808 part and then pitched it up and down and made the melody from there. So the melody of the 808 was not made with a MIDI or anything. I sampled it and then duplicated it over and pitched that one up differently using my transposition here. So you could see that this is at F minor, at least that's an F, I think, where the original sample was. And then if we go down here, like I have it pitched to 7 and 8 here. So I'll play you the melody. With the chord progression itself, I realized it was just a big chorus essentially, and so I just looped the same part over and over, and it sounds weird on its own, in my opinion, but altogether it all seems to layer really nicely and complement each other. And so that's essentially the song up to this point. That we move on a bit more, and Aero's finishing the chorus, and we're about to go into this next section. And this next sample that comes in sounds like this. And what I did was I dropped in a sample that sounded like this. So that's what it sounded like initially. And what I did was reverse it and then pitched it down a full octave. So I pitched it down 12. So now it sounds like this. And so I just had it repeat itself here, the sample. And so that's what that is. I mean, you hear it again at measure 33. And I just have it play out after 4 bars, and then it just repeats. And then, again, that sample you had in one of your ears at the very beginning that I hard panned, we have again. But this time, I don't have it hard panned. It's in both ears. And so melodically it's doing, since there's not what was going on at the very beginning, all these keyboards going on, this is a different kind of feel, and so it's not, I don't want to pan it hard right. So it sounds like this. I think those two sound cool together, those two samples. But I still didn't want to hard pan that groove because there was still so much missing essentially in that section. And then towards the end here, before the beat comes in, I did this. And it's matching the kick, and I just sampled it and cut it down and looped it over and over. And it sounds weird and funny on its own. It's like moral of the story, right? But when it's all put together, and so it's just set to come right in, and it's locked with these kicks, with the kick pattern, and then 808 just drops. And that's IMONFOUR. There's really not much else different, except after 4 more bars of where we were, it gets to this section where it's only the keyboards that I had panned at the beginning, but it's in both ears. And it's just, I just wanted to build this suspense and drop the beat in one last time, and that's IMONFOUR.